All right. My guest today, you are listening to the Free American Hour. I am Clay Douglas. And, folks, I think we're on a roll. Things are happening. Some people are starting to wake up. Some people are making donations, which we need to do. We need to make some donations here. We need to get you to make some donations so we can get Mark Taylor out of jail, so we can keep bringing shows like this and information that, well, you really need to know. I have always referred to you for the last 20 years. I've filled up hundreds of pages in my magazine with stories like the one you're about to hear. Starting with Randy Weaver, starting with the Branch Davidians. And I've told you over the years that you can consider me the canary in the coal mine. If they're pissed off at me and they don't like me, then pretty soon they're going to come for you. I'm just a little bit on the cutting edge. Lisa Majors, welcome, darling.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, what state are you in?
I'm in Arkansas.
I'm sorry. But hey, you lived through the Clinton era, which is more than you can say for the boys on a railroad track. But just stay away from me to Arkansas, and you might be all right. Arkansas is a nice place.
It's a good place to live. It's safe here. It's peaceful. Not too much crime.
Just take all the glass stuff off the shelves and prepare for the New Madrid Fault earthquake. Supposed to set that up, make that inland sea there for the Mississippi. But don't
away from it. But we're building an EARTHBAG home out here, so it's supposed to be earthquake proof and tornado proof, and it is termite and fireproof. So we probably won't have any kind of insurance on it because we won't need it.
Well, I think that's a wonderful thing, and it's one of the reasons that I've got you on my show, because I was just talking about the whole idea of Liberty Villages, and if you build those Liberty Villages out of just the way you're talking about, you can build it under $5,000. You got a place that's warm, you got a place that's safe, you put electricity, you put solar and wind on the roof, and what do you need the banksters for? If you got the garden in the backyard. Don't forget the garden in the backyard and the chickens in the coop.
Well, our basic necessities are life. We need food, we need water, we need shelter, and if you are building your own home, and you're not going to need a loan from any bank, if you can collect your own rainwater, which we plan to do, and I've got some ideas to turn a sunlight upside down and let that drain into a tank, and then we'll have our own filtering system using carbon and gravel. I forget what all, my husband, that's his department. And, so food, shelter, grow your own food. There's ways to grow food even in the wintertime. If you use a greenhouse, you can, we've been looking a lot into aquaponics so that we'll have fish, and the fish water can water the plants, and the plants in turn feed the fish. So it's a great system, and we'll be doing that very soon. Right now we're just trying to finish our house, and we're about 8 feet up on our EARTHBAG home, which uses agriculture polypropylene bags that are filled with crushed limestone, because in our area we have so many roots and rocks, it's kind of hard to fill it with dirt, but you can use dirt or volcanic rock. And then you just keep stacking that up and stacking it up, and you've got a wonderful, strong, durable home that, again, like I said, is fireproof, it's termite-proof, it's very sound and stable. And you just Google it, and you'll find out a lot of people that are doing this all over the world.
Now, in New Mexico, some people were building straw bale houses, I think they called them. But they had a lot of mice running through the straw, so, and it wasn't too fireproof.
We looked into straw bale home, and we just decided that crushed limestone would be better for us because we get probably about 50 inches of rainfall every year. So we wanted something a little bit stronger, and the crushed limestone, some of you may know, once it's compacted, it kind of turns back into concrete. It's almost like a solid concrete wall when it sits over time. So it's very durable and uses very little wood. We will have probably wooden doors, and some interior walls may have some wood in it, but we're mostly just looking at the crushed limestone as the outer walls, and then we put adobe on top of that. And I've done some rock work around the house, which I'm very proud of, because we have lots of native rock and native clay, which is used in the adobe. So it's very natural, it breathes, and very affordable, and very environmentally friendly. So it's a great home. I wish more people would come out here and do the same.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you just described the inhabitants or the structures in a Liberty Village. You know, and right now, what's happening right now, Lisa? What's happening right now over in Japan? I mean, here's this beautiful, productive country. The Japanese people, you know, have been superb in rebuilding their civilization. Nagasaki and Hiroshima look a hell of a lot better than Detroit, and they're taken out by an earthquake. The tsunami, nothing they can do about that. But the nuclear power plants, that's something else. You know, I mean, all of a sudden, you know, you're seeing what the danger is behind the whole nuclear power. Now, I've also said Obama's idea of greening America is to sell the top of that mountain over there to a foreign corporation so they can build windmills, kill a few eagles, and pipe that electricity back down the mountain to the power company, sell it to the power company turns around and sells it to you. Why don't we just cut out the middleman? Why don't we just have our own wind power, our own solar, our own water generating plant? And by the way, you can put a plastic tube around your property. You put it over 5 acres and pump water through it and put algae in it. You've got the ability to make your own diesel fuel out of the algae. It's the fastest growing plant in the world.
That's right, and it should come down to an individual basis. Everyone should be responsible for our own needs. We should be more self-sufficient. We are so reliant on the government and reliant on power companies and mortgage companies to finance our homes. And now we're in a pickle. We're having tough times. Most people are. We aren't, because we got out of that system, and we want to be completely self-sufficient, and we don't want to have to rely on anybody but ourselves to get to supply our needs for food, water, and shelter. So
okay, there is one drawback to that, and it's what we saw happen in South Africa. It's what we saw happen in Rhodesia. The white farmers were most productive people on earth, and they'd been in South Africa longer than we've been in America here. But when things fell apart and the communist regime came in, suddenly there was all lawlessness, and they swept the outlaws, the criminals, swept through these farms and killed all of the farmers and their families. So, in my estimation, the Liberty Village concept, the self-sufficient concept, is really needs to be more of a village concept to help you, because I've run 5 acres, I've had gardens, I've had tried to run my businesses and do all that by myself. It's almost too much. So I would like to open these villages up using housing like you're describing for veterans. They've come back, they're scared to death of us, they're trying to demonize us now. They tried to kill us with Agent Orange in Vietnam, they're trying to kill us with depleted uranium over in Iraq. And if you know, a dozen people can work together, live apart, I'm not talking about a commune here, I'm talking about a village, that you work together. That's the way this whole country, this whole continent was built, with that type of cooperation.
I love the idea, and it is, I would love to have a Liberty Village out on our land. We've got about 45 acres, and I would love to have like-minded people out here. And my husband and I are building our house with our own hands, and it would be wonderful to look over the mountain over there and see somebody else doing the same thing. It's just having like-minded people around you and ready to defend your land and defend your property. Take up arms if you have to, because it's our constitutional right to bear arms, and we shouldn't let anybody take that away from us. And we should be able to collect our own rainwater. The government should not own every...
I'm sorry. You can't do that in Colorado. You got to let it go run down the drain, run down the street, because somebody downstream from you bought that water.
Well,
it's a crime. It's a crime to have a rain barrel in Colorado. I thought that just blew my mind. You know what? If people keep letting their rights being taken away from them, it's going to be harder to get them back. So we need to stand firm and say this is rainwater comes from the sky. It comes from God, and if you want to collect it, you should have the right to do so. Some people are having a hard time building EARTHBAG homes because of the darn inspection codes, and they don't want people doing this. So in some places, now here we had a little bit of problem, but we showed them books, and we told them what we were doing, and we invited them to come out and look around what we're doing, and we explained everything, and they tried to say that we needed an engineer to sign off on our design. And I said, look, if that's what you want and that's what you need, you go right ahead and you find someone to do that. But I am not going to do that. It is we the people, not we the government, and I will not let a government agency come out here and tell me that I need an engineer to sign off. So I was pretty resistant towards them, but they were willing to work with us, and we did get our preliminary our building permit. You can do that. I mean, they were going to. I owned the north half of Bingham, New Mexico for years, and they were gonna install zoning out there. I went into the city council meeting, or the county meeting, county supervisors. And I said, what communist put this bill up in front of you? You want to come out 30 miles out there and tell me what I can do on my property? You want to come out there and tell the ranchers what they can do on their property when they've been living here for 100 years? What are you trying to do, get somebody killed? You want to come in here and put a meter on my well? You'll damn sure get somebody killed. You better stay off of my property. And they
I like that. I like the way you're talking, because they don't have the right. This is our land. We're paying for it. Who are they to come out and say what our house needs to look like and take the rights of our water? They're not going to do it. We're not going to let them.
Now, this was a pleasant surprise to understand that you were doing exactly what there's other options for the Liberty Villages. I mean, this is what you're doing involves a lot of labor and dedication on your part. If you don't want to put that labor in, you need to be able to buy it. You need to be able to pay somebody to do it. You've got to develop this. And the way I see this is kind of like a tenancy in common. Where everybody's got their area that they work in, the common areas that you grow the fields, that you grow the vegetables in, and then you've got veterans that are homeless. Our veterans are on the streets. To me, that's a national disgrace. And I want to make these. I want three things on the wall of the office of the Liberty Village, and that's the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution. And I want an American flag up there, and I want the veterans to protect the place. So that's my goals. But we've got TPs, we got yurts, we got distributorship, we got manufacturers for it. We could do this. And I think if we start it on your place, then it will spread from farm to farm, to ranch to ranch, from individuals to individuals. We don't have to do this alone. This is part of what happens with the internet. You start thinking, I'm all alone. I'm just here. Just me. I'm just an old biker from Texas. What the hell can I do? And I know that feeling's got to spread all over the country. The computer is a double-edged sword. It gives us the knowledge that we never had before, but it separates us. It isolates us.
Right. You're very right. And are there any Liberty Villages in Arkansas?
There's not a Liberty Village anywhere in the world other than where you are right now. You want it to be a Liberty Village, hold up your hand, stick a Declaration of Independence on the wall, and you got one. I'm not trying to franchise. I mean, I will franchise them. I will franchise it once it gets built. You know, we will have some standards. To me, it's more like a covenant community. You know, here's the rules. You know, and it's basically the golden rule. You know, and you've got a way to make money by building your own power supplies. You've got a way to make money by selling vegetables to the people in the cities. And you'll make money by renting out some of the teepees. Build a little teepee up there. The teepees only cost $3,000. You know, if you're a tourist and you're driving down the street and you see 10 teepees up there with a vacancy sign on it, how many people do you think are going to stop? Rent them out for $50 a night?
I'd like to have that experience. I think a lot of people. I mean, I've thought about having cabins out here because we're just 3 miles from Beaver Lake, which is a wonderful recreational lake, and our water source for most people, not for us, because while we're building our house, we're living in a camper, but it's a beautiful area up here, and I'd like to be the first person to say, yes, I want a Liberty Village on our land, and I want to invite veterans to come out and be a part of this, and we could use their help, and then maybe they could use ours.
You got it. You got it. You got it. It's yours. It's yours. It's yours. And not only that, not only that, Lisa, it's not only yours. It's anybody's out there that wants it. All you got to do is to use my name, which I've had for 8 years or more. I've got the website, libertyvillages.org. It's yours. Use it. We'll put your address, and we'll feature your building techniques, because I think that makes sense. And it'll last a hell of a lot longer than a log cabin will, won't it?
I wish more people were doing it. I wish that people were not living in fear and loss of hope when they can't pay their mortgage bills, or where they don't have enough money for groceries, or they don't have enough money to pay the electricity bill. This is a solution to all those problems. And yeah, we are making a land payment, but in just 13 years it's going to be paid for. And
I think it'll be paid for. If you do the Liberty Village thing, you'll pay for it within the first year. And then you won't owe anybody, and then you'll go out and buy more pieces of property and do the same thing on it. And, if somebody wants to just rent a place and live out and see how it works, I ride steel horses. I don't ride a old style horse, So everybody's got different lifestyles. Everybody's got different tastes. And instead of trying to force everybody to follow the group, now we don't dance in this village. Well, you better go down to the village down the street, because we dance out. We cut a rug here every Saturday night, And this is really the answer. I mean, you're up here legally from Mexico, and you want to live among your own people, no problem. Man, set up a Liberty Village down there, and we'll come down to your restaurant. Every Liberty Village will have a restaurant, so people can taste what homegrown, non-genetically modified, unchipped chickens taste like.
They're genetically modifying animals now. They've got some pigs in Canada that they've put rat DNA with E. coli in it, so now we can, if genetically modified foods weren't bad enough, now we have to deal with them messing with the animals and our food source on another level. It's really sad, and they're trying to do the same thing with fish. So, we don't know what the long-term effects of GMO foods are. We just need to. I mean, that's totally unnatural.
That's exactly right. There is exactly what the government should be doing. They should be checking and assuring us that we're not getting genetically modified foods. Instead, they're trying to close down your little garden with S510.
I've heard about that. Yes, I have. Man, I'm tired of the government trying to take over things. They need to get out of our business. We are American citizens. We have rights, and They, half the time they don't have a warrant to come and do searches. They're totally taking away our rights. I mean, I just spent a day in jail just a couple days ago, just because I questioned the judge why it took 2 court days and 4 months to analyze the spearmint tea. And I even pulled out a bag out of my purse. I went on behalf of my sister who was arrested, and I said, look, this is the spearmint tea. It grows wild on my land, and here, smell of it. It really is spearmint tea. Why is it taking 4 months to analyze this bag of spearmint tea?
Now, wait a minute. Let's go back. Let's go back here. So people can understand what happened here. Your sister got busted for spearmint tea. And now I've got other questions here, because I started the paraphernalia business. I probably I've been smoking pot for 40 years. Before it was illegal, and so I don't believe the government has any right to come in and tell you what you can, what plant that God gave us that you can't use. But you mentioned something about K2, and all of a sudden here I started the paraphernalia industry. I don't even know what the hell K2 is. What are we talking about?
Well, that's a synthetic. Let me back up even before that. I mean, I'm almost 50 years old. I'm 49, looking fine, and I really thought marijuana was a dangerous drug because I lived in Miami, I lived in LA. I'm a native of Arkansas, and I've been told all these years that marijuana was a dangerous narcotic, and I believed it from the mainstream media. Just recently, after I was remarried to a person who had a little bit more insight to what the truth was, he kept telling me, marijuana is not dangerous. No one's ever died of cancer from smoking marijuana. It's a plant that God made, and he kept telling me that, but I didn't believe him. Well, I started watching documentaries on Netflix, and it totally opened my mind, opened my eyes to what the truth was. So now I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that I've been lied to all these years, that this plant has wonderful qualities, that it was the #1 cash crop in the 1930s, and that because of the oil companies and the paper companies, it's been made illegal. And I mean, it's just incredible that people are being thrown in jail and being fined for a plant that God gave us. He gave us every seed-bearing plant on the whole face of the earth. So, I just can't trust the media anymore. They've lied to me for this long.
Well, it's why, Lisa, it's why I started the Free American. When I saw what happened at Waco, I swore I would never sit back and watch this happen to the American people again, to anybody again, without trying to do something. I'm not going to be an observer anymore. I'm not going to watch the television and watch you kill 17 little children, supposedly to save them from a child molester. When they ran that kind of report, I was outraged. I was outraged. Now you need to turn your volume down because you're feeding back. I'm feeding back. I raised my voice. Sorry about that. It's been a pet project of mine. And matter of fact, the novel that I wrote 40 years ago was set in the future, 50 or 60 years. And it was about this country after all laws against victimless crimes had been abolished. Now, you went through what you've gone through because of a bag of spearmint tea. Now, folks, I've told people, now look, if this S510 comes through, they're going to go, they could come in and confiscate your tomatoes. Oh, you haven't been approved by the government to grow those tomatoes, and you're only supposed to grow so many because we don't want a neighbor down the street to feel threatened that he's being overrun by giant tomatoes. I mean, it's almost ridiculous. What is K2 anyway? What is K2? This is a synthetic drug of some kind?
Yeah. Somehow scientists have decided that they can recreate the THC that's in marijuana and create a synthetic drug, and people didn't like it. It didn't go over very well, and now they're saying that even K2 is a felony. And my sister's attorney kept saying, well, just say that it's K2, just accept the felony. And this is the guy that's supposed to be defending her. And he didn't say 2 words in front of the judge. And I just made it very clear to the judge, look, this is the second time I've driven 2.5 hours one way for my sister. And why does it take 4 months for you to analyze a bag of spearmint tea? But I brought him some. He just didn't like it. Probably the first thing I did wrong was put my hands on my hips after I found that the crime lab in Arkansas had not analyzed that tea yet. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't believe it. You know, so I'm glad I brought a sample. I mean, it was quite a strong statement to pull out a bag of spearmint tea in a courtroom. But I did it because I'm tired of the red tape. It's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and unfortunately, I had to spend a day in jail. I was sentenced to 2 days, so I'm not sure why.
You got sentenced to jail for contempt of court for saying 1 word.
Well, he told me if you say you need to be quiet, and if you say 1 more word, I'm going to throw you in jail for contempt of court. And so I just turned around and was headed out the door and said, all right. And that was my 1 word. I shouldn't have said all right, because all right, that 1 word got me thrown in jail for supposed to have been 2 days, but I got out a day early, thank goodness. But I had a great time discussing with not only the inmates, but jailers, what's going on in our world, and they didn't know anything about. I mean, they're clueless. They're like robots. They have no idea what's going on. They're just doing what they're being told. So that was really sad to see. But most of them, the policemen and the jailers there, were pretty mean and hateful and yell at you. But the inmates that I met there were really nice, and were listening to things I said. And I was telling them that, there's a lot of things wrong with our government. It's corrupt, and that Obama should never have given billions of dollars to corporations like banks and mortgage companies and insurance companies, and that hemp is a wonderful, wonderful plant that could produce enough oil for this country, and we wouldn't have to be dependent on foreign oil, and our troops could come home because they're not, then they wouldn't have to be over there protecting the oil rigs and the oil corporations over there. So there's a lot of things that are wrong, but we're the masses. There's a lot more of us than there is of them, and we're the ones that can make the change.
Well, you know what? A friend of mine told me a long time ago, Clay, they don't have the power they think they have. They don't have the power they want us to think they have. If they did, we'd still be in the Persian Empire. We'd still be in the Syrian Empire. We'd still be in the Roman Empire. We'd still be under the English Empire. Because you got the power to change it. And that's what our Constitution did for us. I took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I actually read it. A lot of our soldiers haven't. We should. We should force them to read it. Here's what we're protecting. They don't want you to do that because they don't want you to know what that is. They don't want you to know what the Communist Manifesto is, because some bright kid with a high IQ might go, well, wait a minute, these 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, aren't all those intact in America today? And they are. Every plank.
Everyone should read the U.S. Constitution. And while we're on the subject of government, I believe that all of the foreign aid should be cut. I believe that we should eliminate the IRS, that a personal income tax should not be taxed. We should not have people taxing our labor, and we should eliminate the Federal Reserve. There's a lot of big changes that need to be made, but it's up to the American people to be very strong in what they believe in, and let the government know, hey, we're not standing for this anymore. There's too many things wrong. We're tired of you borrowing money from China, and that needs to stop. We need to pay for our debt. There's going to be a chaos that will happen, that will come if we don't make some changes.
We can do that. See, they have really tricked us. I mean, this one-eyed monster that sits in everybody's living room is the greatest mind control tool ever. You know, you just kind of need to take a deep breath, walk outside, sit down around the campfire, pass the joint around among your friends, and say, you know, this ain't bad. You know, gee, I don't, now, why were we hanging out and supplying money for one world government to the